Good evening. Welcome to the 70th Commencement at Marist College. I am Susan Scanlon, Assistant Dean for the School of Computer Science and Mathematics. The musical activities for today's program are arranged by Art Himmelberger. The Marist Singers are directed by Sarah Williams. The Hudson River has inspired generations of artists and writers, and it served as America's first commercial highway, helping to shape the history of New York and of the United States. Tonight, we are pleased that a majestic replica of the 17th century Dutch yacht, the Onrust, is docked at the Marist waterfront. Built in 1614, a few years after Henry Hudson's famed voyage, the Onrust was the first decked ship to be built in what became New York and the first trading ship built in America. Photo opportunities will be available after the ceremony. I will now introduce the order of the academic procession. First in order is the Grand Marshal, Dr. James Regan, Associate Professor of Psychology. Next in the procession is the Marist Army ROTC Color Guard, supervised by Cadet Joseph Schmidt. Leading the candidates for degrees are bachelor's degree candidates from the School of Professional Programs entering 2 by 2 according to their programs. They are led by their student marshal, Robert Millar, and faculty marshals, Joanna Hike, professional lecturer of liberal studies, and Joel Baldemir, lecturer of liberal studies. Helping lead the undergraduates are Dr. Daniel A. Spiro, Dean of the School of Professional Programs, Dr. Martin Schaffer, Dean of the School of Liberal Arts, and Dr. James Dumond, Dean of the School of Science. Following the candidates for undergraduate degrees are the graduate students, entering 2 by 2 according to their academic program. First are the students from the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences and the School of Management. Leading the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences is the student marshal, Jill Dadana. And faculty marshal, Dr. Laurie Crispy, Associate Professor of Psychology. They are accompanied by Dr. Linda Dunlap, Professor of Psychology. Candidates in the School of Management are led by the student marshal, Kristen Herzog, and faculty marshal, Dr. Helen Rothberg, Professor of Management. They are accompanied by Dr. Lawrence Singleton, Dean of the school. Next in the procession are students from the School of Computer Science and Mathematics and the School of Communication and the Arts. Leading the School of Computer Science and Mathematics is the student marshal, Syed Safullah, and faculty marshal, Dr. Etel Loria, Professor of Information Technology and Systems. They are accompanied by Dr. Roger Norton, Dean of the school. Candidates from the School of Communication and the Arts are being escorted by Student Marshal Nicole Grosjean and Faculty Marshal Dr. Subair Sengupta, Associate Professor of Advertising. They are accompanied by Dr. Carolyn Lepre, Dean of the school. Candidates in the procession will be the final adult undergraduate and graduate students to have their degrees conferred by President Dennis J. Murray. In honor of this place in Marist history, candidates are wearing a pin on their regalia that was specially designed for the class of 2016. The degree candidates are followed in the procession by members of the college administrative staff and members of the President's Cabinet. The President's Cabinet is followed by the platform party, which includes the Board of Trustees of the college and our honored guests. At the end of the procession comes the chair of the faculty, Robert Grossman, professor of business. He carries the Marist College mace, an age-old symbol of authority rooted in Roman and medieval history. A staff made of wood and metal, the Marist College mace supports a three-sided crown, which carries the seal of the college. Its design represents the three ideals of the college: excellence in education, the importance of community, and the principle of service. The center of the Marist seal shows the letters A and M interlaced, with 12 stars above the letters, honoring the traditions of the Marist brothers who founded the college. Following the chair of the faculty is the chair of the Marist College Board of Trustees, Ellen Hancock. Following is President Dennis Murray. Dr. Murray wears the Marist College medallion, or Medal of Office, on a ribbon around his neck. Like the mace and seal, the medallion is a symbol of authority. Its roots can be traced to the Roman bulla, a golden amulet of honor. In earlier times, the back of the medallion would bear the personal seal or coat of arms of the wearer. The back of the Marist College President's Medallion carries the seal of the college. Thank you for your attention. At this time, I would like to introduce the Master of Ceremonies for our commencement program, Dr. Thomas Wormuth, Vice President for Academic Affairs and Dean of Faculty.
Good evening, everyone. Please rise, stay risen and rise for the presentation of the colors by the Marist Army ROTC, followed by our national anthem, which will be sung by members of the Marist College Singers. Please remain standing for the invocation, which will be offered by Brother Frank Kelly, Director of Campus Ministry. Gentlemen, remove your caps.
Oh, say, can you Members of the class of 2016, please allow me to offer this prayer in your name. God of new beginnings, fresh dreams, budding hopes, we stand here tonight thankful to you for our accomplishments and successes, for our families, friends, and educators. May the degrees we receive, our work and our lives, be for your glory and the world's good. For all that has been, we give you thanks. For all that is yet to come, we say, yes, Lord. Amen.
Please be seated. A special welcome to you, families and friends of our graduates. We are honored today by your presence and that of our distinguished guests, members of the Board of Trustees and friends of the college. I would now like to recognize the trustees and guests who are with me on the platform, and I ask that they please stand. Ellen Hancock, Chair of the Board. Lisa Cathy. Brother Sean Salmon. Betty Wolf. Joan Gambeski, Officer of the Alumni Association Executive Board. Robert Grossman, Professor of Business and Chair of the Faculty. Dr. Julie Raines, Associate Professor of Criminal Justice. And Dr. James Regan, Associate Professor of Psychology. We are pleased to have these distinguished guests with us today. And now I'd like to call upon Dr. Dennis Murray, who is in his 37th and final year as president of Marist College, to say a few words. Dr. Murray?
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Marist College's 70th commencement exercises, and welcome to our beautiful and historic Hudson River Valley. I'd like to note that tonight, in honor of all our graduates, the lights on the historic Mid-Hudson Bridge will be lit in Marist colors, red and white. Commencement exercises at Marist are days of celebration and days of gratitude. Today we celebrate our graduates and their many accomplishments. These men and women have not only completed a rigorous course of study, they have also made Marist a better college through the life experiences they have shared with us. All Marist graduates work very hard to complete their degrees, but adult graduates have additional demands. Many of them earned their degrees while working full-time, or raising a family, or maintaining a home, or participating in civic and community activities, or in some cases, all of the above. So this evening we salute you, and we welcome you as lifelong members of the Marist community. As we begin the celebration of honoring our graduates, we must also express our gratitude to the many individuals who have played a role in their being here today. First, I'd like to recognize the families of our graduates. You have sacrificed, loved, and supported these men and women. Without you, the accomplishments we celebrate today would not have been possible. With you here, it makes today's ceremony more meaningful for these graduates. For this reason, today's graduates were given the opportunity to honor only one person who has uniquely inspired and supported them during their studies. And these individuals have been given red and white honor cords. I now would like to invite all those wearing the honor cords and all the parents, grandparents, spouses, and children of all our graduates to stand and be saluted by the class of 2016. Please stand. Second, I'd like to salute the faculty at Marist College. These dedicated men and women have devoted their lives to higher education. So would all the members of the Marist faculty please stand and let the class of 2016 show you their thanks. Members of our faculty. Marist students and alumni have a proud history of serving their country in the armed forces. Since tomorrow is Armed Forces Day, I'd like to honor all those who have served in the military. So will all our veterans and those currently serving in the military please stand so we can salute you for your service. Thank you. And speaking of veterans, I'd like to recognize Matt Plumeri. Matt, a Marine Corps veteran, served in Afghanistan. His partner in the military service was a dog named Gulliver, who helped sniff out explosive devices and became an integral part of Matt's unit. Matt returned home and was enrolled in Marist College when Gulliver retired from military service. Matt wanted to adopt him and bring him to New York to live out the rest of his days in comfort, but he had to come up with $3,000 to bring Gulliver home from Camp Pendleton in California. I'm proud to say the entire Marist College community rallied around this cause, not only raising $3,000 in a matter of hours, but ultimately a total of $10,000, which will pay for Gulliver's medical care for the rest of his life. Matt will be the last student crossing the stage tonight to receive his diploma, and as always, Gulliver will be at his side. Let me thank the members of our commencement committee, Kate Donham, Judy Ivankovent, Valerie Hall, Bob Lynch, and all the members of our commencement committee. I want to recognize all the members of our security force who do such a great job, and note that John Gildard, this will be his last graduate ceremony as he's going to retire. And I'd like to salute the men and women from our maintenance and ground crews and our food service and others who do such a wonderful job in putting this event on. And finally, since this is my last graduate and adult commencement ceremony after serving as president for the past 37 years, I want to thank the faculty, the staff, the alumni, the board, and the students for all the great support they've provided Marist College through the years. Let me also thank Marilyn, who's always been my side, and my wonderful family. I've always said that being president of Marist College has never been a burden, but it's always been an honor and a privilege, and I thank all of you for that. Each year, I leave our graduating class with 4 simple thoughts that have not lost their significance over these 37 years. The first one is to avoid the temptation to evaluate your education tomorrow or even next year. Oh, your Marist degree, I'm sure, will help prepare you for career advancements and maybe new professions. More importantly, it's helped prepare you for the rest of your life. It's trained you how to think and to be prepared to make a contribution to your community, to your family, to your profession, and to serve your God. The second point is simply, and I think you already know this because we believe so deeply in it at Marist, don't stop learning. Learning must be a lifelong experience. If you stop learning, I believe you really stop living. Keep that thirst for knowledge alive, your interest in discovery and invention, understanding, improvement of the organizations what you work for are truly the embodiment of the human spirit. Third, keep your family and your extended family at the forefront of everything you do, because I believe it's more important than any short-term success or accomplishment. I believe we must reemphasize the importance of family and extended families and all these great relationships we have in our society today for the good of our society in the future. And finally, remember that you can indeed make a difference. Now, I know being a member of a complex and global society, there's a real tendency sometimes to feel insignificant. But Archimedes said, "Give me a place to stand, and I'll move the world." Well, very few of us here today will have a chance to change the course of history, but all of us will have a chance to change a small portion of events that affect the way we live our lives, but most importantly, the quality of the lives of those around you. Individuals in your family, your workplace, and your community will all be affected by how you live your life. So as you sit here today, your long-term future, I'm sure, is outside your vision, but I really believe it's not outside your control. God put you on this earth not to adjust to it, but to make it better. You've helped make Marist College a better place through your involvement, and now you must go out and do the same for our nation and the world. God bless you, and congratulations to the class of 2016.
Thank you, Dr. Murray. I would now like to ask Julie Raines, Associate Professor of Criminal Justice, Michael Alumni, our Distinguished Alumni Award honoree, and Joan Gambeski, Class of 1983 and Officer of the Alumni Association Executive Board, to please come forward. Dr. Raines will read the citation honoring Mr. Alumni, and the Distinguished Alumnus Medal will be placed by President Murray and Mrs. Gambeski.
Michael O'Looney. From television journalism to public service to high finance, you have proved throughout your career that good communications are fundamental to the success of any organization. As a communication major here at Marist in the 80s, you were involved with the theater program, which surely helped earn you an on-air spot in 1993 with the fledgling cable news station New York One. Your work there earned you positions with ever-increasing exposure and responsibility: reporter and anchor for WCBS, correspondent for CBS Evening News. Your Emmy-nominated reporting covered some of the biggest national and international stories of our time: 9/11, the death of John F. Kennedy Jr., the crash of TWA Flight 800, an important series on Interpol, narcotics, weapons, and human trafficking, all of which prepared you well for what came next. You took on the role of Deputy Commissioner for Public Information for the New York Police Department, the nation's largest and most complex municipal police force, just months after the shock of 9/11. At the NYPD, you wasted no time putting the other duties as assigned part of your job description to work. You've earned a page on IMDb by playing a reporter in the movie City Hall and HBO's The Sopranos. But your most important acting job came just 2 weeks into your time at the NYPD. An armed man was holding an NYPD detective hostage at a station house and demanding to speak to a reporter. Armed with your old CBS News business card, you volunteered for the role and spoke to the hostage taker for 3 hours before he surrendered peacefully. He knew he was going to jail, you told a reporter at the time, but he wanted to get his story out. The following year, you were walking in Manhattan when you recognized a crime suspect from a surveillance tape you just released that day to the media. You pursued him into a nearby subway station where a police officer and some good Samaritans joined you in chasing and tackling the man before he was arrested. When you later left the NYPD to head communications for Merrill Lynch, Commissioner Ray Kelly called you, quote, a consummate professional who did an outstanding job of communicating to the public on behalf of the police department during a historical and transformational period in our history, unquote. You were later inducted into the NYPD's Honor Legion. More recently, you've had increasingly important roles in financial corporate communications, first at Merrill Lynch, then Barclays, and now at Elliott Management, where you run global communications for an organization that manages $27 billion in assets. You graciously give your time here at Marist, where you sit on the advisory board for the School of Communication and the Arts, and regularly come to campus to speak with students and provide valuable career advice and connections. You also serve on the board of Columbia University's Knight Bagehot Fellowship, the most prestigious of its kind in business journalism. In recognition of these achievements, as well as for your embodiment of the principles of your alma mater, Marist College, the Board of Trustees proudly awards you the Marist College Distinguished Alumni Medal.
Ladies and gentlemen, our 2016 commencement speaker, Michael Looney. Michael, congratulations.
Well, thank you. This is a wonderful honor, and it's so nice to be back home at Marist. I'd like to thank the Board of Trustees, the faculty, and President Murray. And I just want to take a moment to thank President Murray for all that he's done for the Marist community over the last 4 decades. You have transformed Marist into one of the top-ranked colleges in the nation, and you've done it all with vision, determination, and grace. We want to thank you and wish you all the best. I also want to thank you, the graduates and the families, for letting me share this special day with you. You should be very proud of what you've achieved. You've done what few others have accomplished. You have earned your graduate degree while at the same time balancing all the demands of life. When President Murray asked me to give the commencement address, I said yes. And then about 10 minutes later, I thought, I need to come up with something to say that's worthy of this occasion. That's a little unfair, of course, since I only have an undergraduate degree. But I spent a lot of time asking advice, seeking pearls of wisdom, bouncing ideas off friends, and most importantly, my family, my wife, Annika, my sons, Luke and Blake. I was talking to Blake this morning. He's 9, and he said, Dad, just be silly. If you talk, they're going to fall asleep. And Luke said, Dad, just don't be boring. I'll try not to be. In the end, I decided all I could really do today was tell you in 8 quick minutes the story of my career, how it began, where it ended up, and maybe a couple of things along the way that I've learned. I think my story is about how in a life full of changes, some invited, some completely unforeseen, it's not just about your ability to adapt, but your ability to stay the same, to know who you are and to still recognize yourself no matter where you are on that path. When I left Marist, I had a very clear idea of what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and that was to be a broadcast journalist. Along the way, I veered into law enforcement and now work in finance, and I never saw those careers coming. For the first 16 years, I worked my way up through a series of jobs in radio and television until I made it to New York, and I was reporting for CBS News. I loved being a reporter. It had purpose and meaning. It was fun and exciting. I got to meet and interview amazing people and cover amazing stories. I had the honor of anchoring on September 11th and trying to help people make sense of what was happening on that terrible day to our city and to our country. It was a career I could only have dreamed of. And then one day, I got a phone call. It was an early Saturday morning in 2001, and that call changed the direction of my life. Michael Bloomberg had just been elected mayor, and he had named Ray Kelly as his incoming police commissioner. And Ray Kelly was calling me, I think it was 7 o'clock in the morning, to ask if I'd be interested in joining the NYPD as a deputy commissioner, acting as the department's chief spokesperson. I was honored and excited. Ray Kelly was someone I deeply admired, and I would be joining his team at a historic time in the history of New York. This was only 8 weeks after 9/11. Ground Zero was still burning. Bodies were still being recovered. National Guard troops were still patrolling the streets of Manhattan. And there was still a very real fear that another terror attack could happen at any time. I talked the offer over with my wife, Annika, and I accepted the job. And while I was thrilled, another part of me deep inside was unsure. Was I making a mistake leaving CBS just as my career was taking off there? Would I be any good at my new job? Would I succeed? Would I fail? And some of these were real concerns. I had never managed anyone in my life, and now I would be managing 40 people in one of the busiest press offices in the country. I was also coming in as a 36-year-old outsider, a civilian joining a leadership team made up of NYPD veterans in their 50s and 60s. Would they accept me? I pushed those doubts aside and I started my new career. Now, there are 100 small things that I could point to tell you about how I made that adjustment to the NYPD. But in reality, everything changed in that one night that Julie mentioned, just 8 days into my tenure, and it started with another phone call. This time the call came at midnight from a sergeant informing me that a detective had been taken hostage inside the 19th Precinct Station House on the Upper East Side. A man was holding a 9mm to the back of a detective's head, threatening to kill him unless he could talk to a reporter and tell the world about his conspiracy theories. Since I had been a reporter recently, I was quickly drafted into that role. The detective was being held in an interrogation room with a one-way mirror so police could see what was happening inside of that room. And the Emergency Service Unit, which is the NYPD's version of a SWAT team, had set up 2 sniper positions ready to take that gunman out on a moment's notice. On the other side of the door was the hostage negotiator who was trying to engage the gunman. Minutes later, I found myself standing next to that negotiator behind a Kevlar shield, wearing a flak jacket and a helmet, with 15 heavily armed officers behind me ready to storm the room. For the next few hours, we tried to reason with the gunman and convince him to release the detective, and every time we thought we were getting there, he'd have a flash of anger, threaten to kill the detective unless we listened to more of his rantings. As the night wore on, I wondered how this would end. There were several outcomes, and 2 of them were very bad. What if I said the wrong thing? What if I had used the wrong tone? I felt the weight of that detective's life in my hands, and behind me stood the police commissioner and the top brass of the department, watching and listening as the night played out. And outside, behind the police tape, were dozens of reporters, my old colleagues, covering the story. After 3 hours, the gunman gave up. The officer stormed the room, and the detective was released unharmed. And I learned a lot about myself that night, that I could keep my composure under extreme pressure, that I would never really be prepared for all that life could throw at me, and that sometimes good communication is the difference between life and death. After that night, I was immediately accepted by the top brass of the department. I had proved myself. And as I grew into that job, I learned that the part I had dreaded the most, managing people, was something that I liked the most. And I noticed that in the 16 years I'd worked as a journalist, no boss had ever asked my opinion on anything of substance. And now the police commissioner of New York was asking my advice on major issues. I thrived under that pressure. I loved the responsibility, and I was growing as a person. 2 years later, I got another call. A friend had recommended me to the CEO of Merrill Lynch, and I was offered a job running corporate communications for one of the largest firms on Wall Street. I was thrilled, but again, there was another part of me deep inside that was unsure. Was I leaving the NYPD just as my career there was thriving? What did I know about Wall Street? Would I succeed? Would I fail? But I pushed those fears aside and I took the job, and for the next 3 years, it was great. Every quarter was better than the last. And then the credit crisis hit, and Merrill Lynch began to melt down. The CEO I worked for was ousted, and the company was later sold to the Bank of America. But even in the worst of that crisis, I found the work rewarding. I was helping senior management navigate its way through the crisis. And I always knew, no matter how bad it got on Wall Street, it was never a matter of life and death. I knew the difference. I've noticed a few themes in my career. Almost every job I've gotten has come from a friendship or relationship I've had with someone who believed in me. Take care of your professional relationships. Be there for people. Go out of your way for them. Every time I was offered a new opportunity, there was a side of me that resisted because I wasn't sure I was ready for that next step. But I don't think you can ever really be ready for the next chapter. When you are presented with opportunities and hear those doubts, listen to them. Weigh the pros and cons. Not every opportunity will be right. But don't let the fear that you may have trap you in a small life when you want a big life. There are many things you can't control in your career, like a hostage situation or a credit crisis. But you can control yourself, how you carry yourself, how hard you work, how you treat people, how many times you decide to answer the phone call in the middle of the night. Of course, in the end, I'm happy those calls came, and I'm happy that I took them, because here's the thing. When I left Marist, I knew exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and I'm so glad I was so wrong. Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Michael. And now it is my pleasure to invite the recipient of the award for Excellence in Graduate Studies to speak for the graduate class of 2016. The award winner is Stephen Currie, an educator and author of many books, and who is receiving his Master of Arts in Educational Psychology.
Thank you so much. When I was quite young, my parents took me down to the Jewish Community Center of the Southside Chicago neighborhood where we lived, and they enrolled me in the 2-morning-a-week, 3-year-old program. And I apparently took to it like a duck to water. According to family lore, I came home that very first day of school with a new and wonderful song to sing around the house. Who killed Antiochus? Tell me, please. I know the Maccabees. However, it was louder and more off-key. And that was my first brush with formal education, but not my last. Ever since then, I've been involved in teaching and learning in some form or another, as a student, as a classroom teacher, teaching specialist, education writer, college instructor, husband, father, you name it. My life has always been defined by the rhythms of the academic year. September to June, and then a summer. September to June, and then summer again. So this background and this wonderful occasion makes me think about what education is, its goals, its purpose, and more generally about what learning is. And I'm reminded of a second-grade student I taught a number of years ago who knew precisely what education was all about. One day she completed a writing assignment and she handed it back to me. "Is it good?" she demanded. "It looks just fine," I assured her, scanning it quickly. But that wasn't quite the answer she had in mind, because she fired back, "But is it better than everybody else's?" So, okay. The point of learning is not doing better than everybody else. I think most of us would probably agree with that. But if learning isn't about being better than everybody else, what is it about? For further insight, I turned to another child, a first grader I worked with earlier this year in my capacity as an elementary math specialist. I gave this boy 6 little cubes, and I asked him to count them, which he did perfectly, quickly, easily, and accurately. "You have 6 cubes," I reminded him. "Now suppose that I had 6 cubes too. How many cubes will we have altogether?" There are lots of ways that 6-year-olds might figure out a question like that, and he used the strategy of saying the first number that popped into his head. 10, he said. "Ah," I said, mentally double-checking that the answer to 6 plus 6 was still 12, which it was. "And how did you come up with that answer?" He grinned. "I knew it," he said, "because I am very, very good at math." All right, being very, very good at something may be a goal of learning, but I think we can all agree again that it isn't a good idea to be completely sure about answers that are, wrong. So that made me think about a kindergartner I encountered one day a couple years back in the school corridor. "Something on your mind?" I asked, noticing that she looked a little bit unhappy. She gave a heavy sigh. "I don't know all of math yet," she said to me. Well, I told her that was just fine, that I didn't know all of math yet either. And her eyes got very big as she contemplated what that meant. And now that I have a master's degree, I can assure you that I still don't know all of math. And that's still just fine. So the goal of learning can't be to know all of anything, not even math. So perhaps the goal of learning is actually understanding. I did a lot of community theater at one point, and I had a friend who directed me in a lot of plays. And occasionally one of her actors would say, "Gee, I really need to memorize my lines," whereupon she would draw herself up to her full height, which was approximately 5 feet 1.5 inches. And she would intone, "Learn! Learn your lines! Do not memorize your lines, learn your lines," by which she meant, don't just recite them, instead understand them. Know the context of the line within the scene. What comes before? What comes after? Why the character says the line. I do this with math. I don't just want children to memorize the multiplication facts. I want them to know the relationships, the connections between those facts, to understand what it is they're doing. It's altogether too easy for us to think of out-of-context information as learning, though. I do this myself. In high school, I became quite interested in family history for a while, especially one branch of my family, ethnic Germans, living in England when World War I broke out. Didn't work out so well. They eventually left Britain and moved to America. Back in high school, I was interested in the bare bones of their lives. Who, what, where, when, names, dates, and places. Years later, I inherited a whole bunch of letters written by my great-grandparents during the war. And I learned that the family had been separated for 4 years. 4 years. My great-grandfather and some of the children in Iowa, the rest of them in London. Today, learning how and why is of less importance to me than understanding. What was it like to know my family members? What was it like to be them? I'm no expert on these ancestors, but I'm a lot closer to understanding them today than I was when my interest was limited to the facts of the matter. But increasingly, I suspect that the true goal of learning goes beyond simply understanding and involves instead engagement, the compulsion to grapple with ideas. Several years back, I presented a simple Pi Day lesson about the number pi to a group of fourth graders. One young lady was especially taken with an offhand remark I'd made that you could round pi to either 3.14 or 3.1416. And after class, she approached me to ask what difference it made if you chose one or the other. We spent the next half hour drawing diagrams and carrying out fourth grade style calculations, and at the end, she was completely delighted with herself. She demonstrated that it made essentially no difference if you rounded pi to 2 decimal places or to 4. The girl had missed out on a free period, and she could not possibly have cared less. She had a burning question. She needed to answer it, and she did exactly that. Which reminds me in turn of a 19th century woman inventor named Amanda Theodosia Jones, I love that name, who I ran across while doing research for a book on women inventors. Jones was not an inventor by trade, she was a spiritualist. One day, however, she heard a voice from the spirit world saying, "Friends, did you know there is a way of preserving meat without boiling it?" Jones knew nothing about methods of canning, food preservation, but it was clearly up to her to find this way to preserve meat without boiling it, and she set out to do exactly that. After years of intensive study, research, and focus, Jones developed and patented a vacuum canning process much more effective than anything that had come before. She had to. My pie-obsessed student and Amanda Theodosia Jones don't seem to have much in common. They lived in very different centuries, for starters. But they do share this thirst for knowledge, this passion for understanding, this compulsion to engage with ideas. I found this here at Marist in the graduate program, in my fellow students, in my professors. People who engage, people who debate, people who are not satisfied with simple and often simplistic answers. More than anything else, when I think of learning, I think of this need to engage. It would be unreasonable to expect us, any of us, to have this overwhelming desire to learn every moment of every day. That would be exhausting, if nothing else. But as I look back over a lifetime in education, a career in learning and teaching, a series of graduate courses here at Marist College, I believe that this is the compulsion that we should be aiming for. To paraphrase Tennyson, had he been a teacher and a student rather than a poet, our goal needs to be to strive, to teach, to learn, and not to yield. Congratulations to all, and thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Members of the Board of Trustees and administration, faculty, parents, spouses, other relatives, friends of the graduates, and guests, it is my privilege and honor to present the candidates for degrees at this 70th graduation of students from Marist College. Tonight's graduates are listed in the commencement program. President Murray, I present to you the candidates for master's degrees. Will the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Mental Health Counseling please come forward? President Murray, the candidates for Master of Arts in Mental Health Counseling are
Vienna Marie Costanzo, Jill Kathleen Dodona, Samantha Angela DeSantis, Atalia Nakisha Ann Light, Annalise Elizabeth Maston, Angeline Grace Richard, Victoria Kelly Skirty, Amanda Lee Schaffer, Samantha Stroth,
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Educational Psychology please come forward? Right here. I begin the candidates for Master of Arts in Educational Psychology with Stephen Currie, winner of our award for excellence in graduate studies. President Murray, the remaining candidates for Master of Arts in Educational Psychology are
Jamie Caitlin Albers, Ruba Batarse, Alyssa Borks, Lauren Elizabeth Boyes, Aislinn Ann Breslin, Brianna Lee Carey, Chelsea Kartika McAvoy, Christine Lynn Coughlin, Chelsea Marina Cozzolino, Magali Cruz, Tracy Elaine Cullen, Maria Isabel De Jesus Ferrero, Elizabeth McLean Huey, Anna Rose Horrigan, Catherine Ann Krieger, Andrew Stephen Lehman, William Grant McElveen, Kristen Teresa Mateja, Erin Danielle Murphy, Allison Mary Newman, Brielle Elaine Reynolds, Melissa Ann Suppi, Mark Thomas Valentino,
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in School Psychology please come forward? President Murray, the candidates for Master of Arts in School Psychology are
Gillian Adams, Angela Marie Claffey,
Rebecca Kathleen Davis,
Sarah Jessica Dawson, Jana Marie Drummond, Caitlin Rasliff Harris, Deidre Marie McGuire, Marissa Lynn Maloff, Varjay Snyder, Catherine M. Stenglein, Mary Elizabeth Trento, Caroline Victoria Weishaupt, Brian Andrew Zambrisky.
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Information Systems please come forward? President Murray, the candidates for Master of Science in Information Systems are
Ruthvik Reddy Anamasu, Karunika Ayithanini, Mani Bandarulanka, Nathaniel James Baranowski, Vishal Bashwa Puram, Devi Priya Bellam, Maitreyi Bhaskara, Akash Bhatia, Pranavi Bhim Reddy, Sahana Bodapati, Punith Bonapali, Mahinda Bondili, Chetan Chowdhury Boyapati, Prathima Chaganti, Srikanth Chakra Vathula, Danesh Kumar Chandrasekaran, Sumana Chira, Sriharsha Chiru Mamela, Sasikant Devatula, Srivastava Adera, Shravan Kumar Gadam, Monica Gagara, Siri Megana Garakapati, Venkata Krishna Chaitanya Gudamela, Sharuni Reddy Gutapati, Satyendra Gutta Mukala, Syed Safayullah, Davesh Babu Guntapali, Ayanetta Pooley Hutchinson, Rish Enampudi, Murali Narasem Harayel Javaji, Ravi Teja Jitori, Abhinav Jivan Kakumanu, Anup Jivan Kakumanu, Rakesh Babu Kamapali, Harish Kamakomadi, Manasa Kandadi, Subramanya Rohit Kara, Hari Prasad Karu, Aroa Katari, Aksatha Reddy Katkuri, Venkata Shrika Kadanani, Dhiraj Kumar Kistagali, Sa Krishna Prasad Kodam, Dravani Kola, Praneeth Katapadi, Rakesh Kata, Vinay Kumar Kuchi, Shamita Melanini, Barajwaj Manam, Pravalika Madan Dareo, Lakshmi Nagaraj, Chaitanya Krishna Reddy Noti. Timothy Ryan Andre. Vineet Kumar Kapal Paladi. Yaswanth Kumar Reddy Pali. Pratyusha Panyam. Palabi Patranabish. Nathan Petty. Monica Paladi. Aditya Pradi. Denise Cervantes Quintad. Danika Reddy Samradi. Srikanth Reddy Sarasam. Bharat Saraswat. Santosh Reddy Shabad. Anil Kumar Reddy Shivanagari. Roli Shivavastava. Vivek Singari Kanda. Gangasaram Saguna. Hari Krishna Vadlamudi. Abhishek Varanasi. Sri Durga Vaudi. Bhavya Venkatram. Brian Michael Yeager. Arish Yelavati. Sashri Hasha Yamazala. Isi Efasima Natasha Yamoa. Ravi Teja Yalagada.
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Science in Computer Science, Software Development, please come forward? President Murray, the candidates for Master of Science in Computer Science, Software Development are
Shovan Kumar Amancha. Saurav Bomik. Siva Ramakrishna Prasad Chintapali. Gregory Charles Cremens. Srinivas Reddy Dareddy. Pratesh Shedrans Gandhi. Sri Vivek Datta Emadasati. Sushma Kamareddy. Murali Krishna Kandula. Himaja Kethari. Sudhir Mandava. Dinesh Mandi. Thush Larika Nuthalapati. Gopi Chandu Para. Vikram Pravin Patil. Saranya Raha Krishnan. Douglas Edward Rodi. Rahul Vijay Sakarshit. Sandeep Reddy Sala. Rahit Deepak Salpa. Jagsita Dayanand Shariga. Praveen Talari. Vikata Siva Naga Rakesh Upala. Burgav Upalapati. Surya Venkata Siddhartha Valerie. Matthew Neil Wolf.
Education adolescence.
Yes. Yeah, Master of Education.
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Education in Adolescence Education please come forward? President Murray, the candidates for Master of Education in Adolescence Education are
Jason W. Burdick. Timothy E. Higgins. Chelsea M. Leahy. Jennifer L. Molitsky.
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Business Administration please come forward? President Murray, the candidates for Master of Business Administration are
Jonathan Alfonso, Sarah G. Carberry, Allison Kristen Chung, Sasha H. Deneve, Timothy Jackson Dufore, Junio Antonio Flores Gahiola, Krista Lynn Gleason, Rana Ahmad Hajjaj, Nicole M. Hoover, Matthew Jeffrey Ingram, V. Christopher Inzerillo, Gaurav Kaushik, Peter A. Maraglia, Ashley Mona, Daniel Thomas Montefusco, Therese Elizabeth Noonan, Svetlana Leonidovna Palmera, J. Joseph Pantaleo, Pooja Patel, Glenn David Pera, Thomas Paul Sota, Donald J. Kesnell, Judy K. Roy, Carlo J. Santora, Alyssa K. Saunders, Christine Marie Silva, Jillian Page Tompkins, Nina Elizabeth Voltaggio, Chauncey Lavanel Whitfield, Kelly Wu.
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Public Administration please come forward? President Murray, the candidates for Master of Public Administration are
Alfredo Alcencio, Kevin Thomas Beslety, Siobhan Blank, Brooke Elise Bosch, Emily Alyssa Burgess, Melvin Roberto Carter Jr., Maurice George Cattell IV, Alonda Christina Corion, Stephanie Bree Cusano, Laura J. Dillon, William G. Dooley, Glenn Thomas Dowd, Leo Joseph Delusky III, Theodore John Fish, J. F. Fleming, Michael Francis Garavelli, John Taylor Gay, Yocasta A. Herrera, Kristen Marie Herzog, William Sean Holland, Benny Lee Hollowell Jr., Julie Elizabeth Horn, Corey Lyle Jackson, Eric Joaquin, Virginia Christine Long, Julio C. Lopez, Evan Robert Menist, Peter J. Miley, Michael John O'Keefe, Stephen Method Pugner, Allison Page Sage, Peter J. Sala, Kimberly A. Seckler, Joshua Aaron Simons, Francisco Luisito Soto Jr., Jacqueline Michelle Vemeslick, Victoria Vitale, Keith Volsky, Anthony Blankson York, Peter Zayas, Sarah A. Zlotnick, Kevin M. Byrne.
Thank you.
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Communication please come forward? President Murray, the candidates for Master of Arts in Communication are
Scott Douglas Day, David Anthony Diomede, Marianne Catherine Fisher, Elizabeth Anna Skillicorn,
Will the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Integrated Marketing Communication please come forward? President Murray, the candidates for Master of Arts in Integrated Marketing Communication are
Gina Marissa Amaro, Brian Richard Apfel, Kelly Margaret Apfel, Michael A. Archigall, Kevin Bergen, Nicole Marie Bliss, Donna Fenimore, Jamie Varice Gary, Danny Lee Girton Jr., Nicole Michelle Grosjean, Arta Habili, Victoria Jarosz, Laura Teresa Jensen, Victoria T. Lacasse, Shannon Ann Marr, Brenna Lynn McKinley, Tiffany Elaine Mills, Allison Christine Mirabito, Maria T. Mischuk O'Brien, Nicole L. Morales, Sarah Elizabeth Nolan, Trista M. Parker, Nicole Radasso, Stephen Arthur Roulier, Gina Rose Sirico, Brigitte A. Smith, Ashley Marie Thielig, Janelle Sabrina Walters, Raydaunt August Charlton.
Before calling forward the candidates for the baccalaureate degree, I would like to acknowledge those undergraduate students who have earned academic honors. Listed in the program next to the candidates' names are asterisks for cum laude, magna cum laude, and summa cum laude honors. I would like to invite all the individuals who have earned cum laude honors, please stand and let us congratulate you. Cum laude, please stand. Would all of the individuals who have earned magna cum laude honors please stand and let us congratulate you. Magna cum laude. And would all of the individuals who have earned summa cum laude honors please stand and let us congratulate you. Summa cum laude. Now it is my pleasure to invite the winner of the award for academic distinction to speak for the undergraduate class of 2016. The award winner is Matthew Robert Jaroszewski, who excelled in his studies while working full-time toward a degree in accounting. Matthew?
Good evening, and thank you all for joining me on this beautiful day. It has been difficult for me to find the right words for this day. I'm not quite sure how to summarize all of the years of hard work and sacrifices that we've made in order to arrive at this moment. As non-traditional students, we did not have the luxury of being able to put life on hold while we studied. Life did not see fit to lay a path before us that we could navigate with ease. As Marist challenged our intellect, life challenged our resolve with bills to pay, mouths to feed, and deadlines to meet. Our path is not one that can be characterized by its comforts, but by its hurdles. And today is a celebration of not just the education we've received, but of the resilience that exists within all of us. I do not believe that today represents the beginning of a journey or the end of one. Our journey began many decades ago, and our story began even before that. Our parents, our grandparents, our ancestors from centuries before them dreamed of a better world for their children, just as we still do today. It is an unbroken tradition that has stood the test of time. And despite what you might see in the news, regardless of the challenges we face as an individual nation, a global community of nations, and as cohabitants of Earth with all other forms of life, we have made it this far. We have accomplished things that generations before us could only imagine, and I refuse to believe that there's any reason for that streak to end now. Because today we prove that challenges are helpless against those who are determined to reach their goals, to redraw the line in the dirt separating what is possible from what is not. If truth be told, I must say that I'm surprised that I have made it this far and have been given the honor of speaking before you all on such a meaningful day. In my youth, I was never one to excel at my studies or receive awards. I struggled in high school and never thought I could rise above the average, and quite frankly, I had no aspirations to do so. I am absolutely no prodigy, no genius, and my story is not one that I ever hope to see repeated. But if there is anything worthwhile that I can say about myself, it is this. I have always taken responsibility for my actions, and as I grew older, as I learned more about life, I realized that also means taking responsibility not just for my future, but for the future of my family and the world we live in. Because so long as we share this world, the choices we make affect not only ourselves, but the community of people in which we live. When I learned to shift my focus from myself to those around me, I found the strength to become the best person that I am capable of becoming. Despite my past and the doubts I carried, I grew into something greater than I have ever been before. Sometimes learning to silence the doubters requires that we learn to silence ourselves. So I challenged myself to return to school. I challenged myself to put aside childish things. I challenged myself to balance classes with all of the surprises life had waiting for me. And with every challenge I faced, I learned more about what we as humans are capable of. My time spent here at Marist has taught me far more than what could be summarized in a textbook. Marist has taught me about myself, my abilities, and the potential that exists within every one of us, and for that I will forever be grateful to this institution, its faculty, and all of its students. No one can say with any certainty what awaits us in the future, but if our past is any indication, we have all proven that we have the ability to find our own way. We have all taken a different path to reach this day, and we will continue to forge the best path that we are able. Whatever direction it is that you all head towards, it is my sincerest hope that you never lose the determination that led you here today. Do not fear the unknown that the future holds. Embrace it. I believe that tomorrow will always be a better day because I will have one more day to look back on, and I will be that much wiser for it. I would like to thank everyone who has helped me make it this far so that I could be able to be with you all today. Thank you to Marist, to all of its amazing teachers and staff that have welcomed me into their community and who have helped and inspired me to learn everything that I can. Thank you to all of my fellow students who I have had the privilege to walk amongst and work with. Thank you to my friends who I have sacrificed time with in order to get more work done. And most of all, thank you to my family, who I love so much and who always believed in me even when I saw a reason not to. If you remember anything I say here today, I hope it is this. Knowledge has no expiration date, wisdom only grows with age, and for those who dare to dream, who believe in themselves and their abilities, for those who immerse themselves in the love and support of family and friends, nothing is impossible. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. President Murray, I present to you the candidates for the bachelor's degree. Will the candidates for the bachelor's degree in liberal studies please come forward? President Murray, the candidates for the bachelor's degree in liberal studies are
Tiana Chantel Albano. Amanda Araujo. Jacqueline Marie Bien. Ernest Lamar Boone. Samantha Rose Botticelli. Tanya Lynn Broom. Romaine Anthony Butler. Amanda K. Chinkan. Daniel R. Choka. Christopher Dager. Mallory Ann Davis. Jacqueline Econom. Amy Marie Enna. Alexia Finley. Brenda Marie Gobilot. Vanessa Herrera. Pamela Highbridge. Edward Duress Hughes. Greg S. Jocelyn. Santos M. Lopez. Deborah Ann Mayetta. Robert J. Millar. Judith Moretti. Paul David Muffaletto. Kathleen Ann Needhan. Serena O'Brien. Shannon Elizabeth Rubin. Marissa Stephanie Savage. Joseph Savino. Nicholas R. Scarchilli. Emerson Segarra. Erica Christina Soto. Rachel Jane Strout. Tanaya Thomas. Deanna Lee Tuno. Kenneth J. White.
will the remaining candidates for the bachelor's degree please come forward? This includes traditional majors in the School of Communication and the Arts, the School of Computer Science and Mathematics, the School of Liberal Arts, the School of Management, the School of Science, the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences. President Murray, I begin the candidates for bachelor's degree with Matthew Robert Jaroszewski, winner of our award for academic distinction. President Murray, the remaining candidates for the bachelor's degree are
John R. Adams, Tahesha Augustine, Naomi Louise Batson, Nicole Elizabeth Childers, David Cintron, Madeline Lee Compton, Norman Ray Cottrill Jr., Athena Daldal, Melinda Ann D'Alessio, Pooja Desai, Brittany Ann Dicing, Zahara S. Durandise, Nathan David Farner, Caitlin Jo Fina, Sarah Elizabeth Ferner, Allison Nicole Fondy, Louise Judith Fortune, Amy Furst, Andrea Marie Garcia, Marie J. Giles, Andrew James Hasbrook, Lauren Ashley Hilaire, Francine Stacy Johnson, Jennifer Case, Adam Russell Kangas, Danielle Marissa Kane, Brandon Van Lee, Crisia Marie Loyola, Sophia Martelli, Daviana Martinez Osorio, Samantha Marie Miller, John E. Moulton, Julie Ann Peterson, Dominique Sherry Priolo, Gloria K. Price, David Alfonso Puma, Jessica Lee Rossi, Joseph Louis Rowell, Catherine Marie Salazar, Neil Christopher Sama, Caroline Paige Santini, Kristen M. Splendorio, Ellen Marie Rodriguez, Jenna M. Scouten, Monique Yvonne Scott, Kuntal Kumar Kiritbai Sivak, Ibrahima Singhateh, Sarah Beth Smilowitz, Yvette Solange Struther, Trisha Timmershand. Gabrielle A. Veliz. Nicole Vernon. Denise Williams. Forrester Wilson.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very last diploma awarded by President Murray at a Friday night commencement ceremony will be Matthew Vincent Plumeri, a combat veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps who brought national attention to the use of dogs in the military. In return, Matthew is presenting a gift on behalf of the 36,521 Marist alumni whose degrees were conferred by President Murray during his 37-year presidency. A special PhD putting him or her through cord for valuing the unique contributions of adult undergraduate and graduate students to the college and understanding the challenges they face, and helping to put these generations of students through to the dream of a Marist degree. And of course, a cord goes to Mrs. Marilyn Murray as well for being a source of support not only to her husband, but to the entire Marist community. Could everyone sit? Except for the master's degree candidates. Please rise. Master's degree candidates, please rise.
So all the master's degree candidates should be standing. By the power invested in me by the Regents of the State of New York and the Board of Trustees of Marist College, and upon the recommendation of your respective faculties, I hereby confer upon you the appropriate master's degrees with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Okay, please be seated. And will the bachelor's degrees candidates please rise?
Okay, all the bachelor's candidates. So by the power invested in me by the Regents of the State of New York and the Board of Trustees of Marist College, and upon the recommendation of your respective faculties, I hereby confer upon you the appropriate bachelor's degree with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Everyone, please stand. The Marist song will now be sung by members of the Marist College Singers.
God bless these college halls, which call to mind so well our work together, seeking wisdom, truth, and light, communion shared. We grow and give in joy
And now I call on Reverend Richard A. Lamort in his final Marist commencement ceremony to please give the benediction.
As the rearview mirror would enable one to see what was coming, so we pray that as we, faculty, staff, spouses, parents, and especially you, the students, would look back on these years and be enabled to see better what is coming. I pray this blessing upon you as you leave here this night, to which I would invite you to say, Amen.
Marist College has been honored by the presence of this assembly today. We thank you all for your attendance. On behalf of President Murray, I invite families to join our graduates at an informal reception in St. Peter's Meadow by the entrance to the pedestrian walkway. Will the audience please remain in their places during the recessional? The class of 2016 is now dismissed.